boombox beat. Brock is OP. Gotta get that loot.
What's up guys, this is Sensei. Today's video, I'm going to show you how I got my Brock to 1000 trophies in Showdown. We're going to be going over some replays, and I'm going to give you some tips so you can push your Brock high in Showdown as well. But anyways, without further ado, let's just go over Brock's base stats real quick, and then we'll head right into the replays. Alright, taking a look at Brock's base stats here, as you can see, he has a pretty low amount of health at 3,640, but for a long-range brawler such as himself, it's a pretty decent amount of health. Has a normal movement speed, very long range. First attack, he shoots rockets, each hitting 40 damage with the slow reload speed. And for his super, he shoots a bunch of rockets, each do 1456 damage. Now let's go over his gadget and star power. Alright, for Brock's gadget, we have rocket laces. And what this does is basically Brock shoots a rocket at the ground, which shoots him up into the air, similar to a Dyna Jump. And any enemies that are near him will be dealt 500 damage, and they will also be knocked back. Gadget is very important for helping Brock in 1v1 situations or getting out of dicey situations. So if you're going to push Brock, definitely recommend you get the gadget first. Anyway, let's go over the star power to use. Alright, now as far as the star power to use, I'm definitely going to recommend using Brock's first star power, Incendiary, even though both star powers are good. And what Incendiary basically does at the end of Brock's attack, either from using your max range or by hitting an enemy or a wall, it's going to leave a little circle of fire that deals 600 damage per second for 2 seconds. And for Brock's second star power, we have rocket number 4, which basically just gives Brock another ammo slot. And the reason I prefer Incendiary is because Incendiary is going to help you pinch brawlers a lot better. It's also going to help you open boxes a lot faster, and it's also going to help you check bushes a lot more efficiently. However, rocket number 4 does have its uses as well by giving you more burst damage, which will help you in case you're getting rushed. So, anyways, to make sure you have a star power. I don't think you can really push Brock without it, since both star powers really give Brock a lot of value. So make sure you have at least one. I prefer Incendiary, but rocket number 4 can work. So anyway, let's hop into the map I push Brock on. Alright, and as for the map I push Brock on, it's going to be 2000 Lakes. As you can see, it's a very open map. And that's really the maps you want to be playing Brock on. You want to be playing on the open long-range maps, and we don't really have a lot of them. This meta, another map that could potentially work is Scorched Stone, and also Double Trouble could potentially work. Haven't played them on those, so I can't say for sure, but definitely 2000 Lakes is for sure by far the best map for Brock and any other long-range brawler if you're planning to push a range brawler in the future. Anyway, let's hop over to the replays. Alright, now before we start here, I just wanted to show this little highlight clip. As you can see, we're 1v1ing this B, and I have no idea that the max is down there in the bush below, and so we end up getting too close, but we're able to take him out. As you can see here, he starts rushing us. We use our gadget, and then we're able to super right in front of us to be able to take him out, surviving barely on 15 HP. Anyway, pretty epic highlight there if you ask me. Anyway, let's hop into the first replay here, spawning into the right of the map. And all these replays are going to be 900 plus gameplay, so pretty high level, getting the boxes that are nearest. And let's just talk about why Brock, right? Brock's actually, even though he's a long-range brawler, his burst damage is pretty good. And Brock is actually a pretty good counter to many of the longer-range options in Showdown. He's a pretty good counter to 8-bit. He's a pretty good counter to B. He's a pretty good counter to Pam as well. So Brock is a pretty good counter to the typical meta brawlers in Showdown, and that's kind of what makes him viable. However, he can be weak to the faster brawlers such as Max. But if you're gonna push Brock, make sure you practice up on your Brock skills, because you're definitely gonna want to be manually aiming most of your shots, just because since Brock's rocket moves so slow, unless they're right in your face, you're really not going to be able to hit shots by auto aiming. And so, make sure you either, do 1v1s with your friends, or play Brock and Bounty and 3v3 with randoms. Just practice up, a while ago, I just started playing Brock and just trying to get good at Brock. And so that's why my aiming is where it's at today. And you're definitely going to need it, because against brawlers like Pam or Carl, not Carl, Brawl or Crow who don't really have to aim, you're gonna need to hit your shots, okay? Because if you don't, they're just gonna punish you. And so it's very important. And you know, obviously you're not gonna be able to hit all your shots, and sometimes, you know, the reason why I've died is because I couldn't hit my shots, right? And you know, the brawler that I'm trying to go after just keeps coming in, and I can't do anything about it because I keep missing. So it's definitely important to be able to hit your shots at a high clip if you're going to want to push Brock. Definitely one of the higher skill cap brawlers in the game, and so make sure you cap on that. Anyways, not really talking about what's going on in this replay, but as you saw there, once you get an energy drink, you really just want to sit on it until you get an opportunity to use it, but we'll talk more about it in the next replay. Anyway, let's hop into it. Alright, hopping into the next replay here, we already talked about, we already talked about, you know, why Brock is actually good in Solo Showdown, you know, and, so yeah, let's just actually go over gameplay. So as you can see, just going for boxes, and with using that Incinerator star power, Brock can open boxes really quickly, which is why I recommend you get it, because without it, it's going to take you a long time to open boxes, so it's a big help to have that Incinerator star power. As you can see, getting 3 cubes, and right here in this little pocket right here, this is my favorite place to camp in this map. It's just really good. You have that wall over there, and excuse me, yeah, you can see what's coming, and yeah, it's just a very, very good place. You don't really get pinched much there, so yeah, definitely I would recommend making your way to that area of the map if you can. Very good spot. And right now we're just maintaining our area, using our range to battle anyone that comes near us, and that's really what you want to do. When it comes to long range fighting, Brock is one of the best long range brawlers in the game. That's why he's super good in Bounty, which relies on long range combat, and that applies here on this open map. You really want to be using your range as much as possible. Even though Brock does have decent deep burst damage, for a long-range brawler, his main thing is going to be long range. And now sitting at 5 power cubes. And as you saw, we used our gadget there against that max to avoid damage. And that's really how you want to be using your gadget. You want to be using it to avoid damage from someone, or to get it out of a situation. That's really how you want to be using your gadget. And right now we're just chilling, which is really what you want to do in energy drink maps. I just want to wait for people to come your way. Alright, we're fighting this Carl over here. Now the interesting thing here is we're fighting the Carl, right? But then the Leon decides to go after us, and we actually punish him for that, which is kind of funny in my opinion. Because the Leon switches out of nowhere, then we just completely destroy him. And now we're able to, you know, with 8 power cubes, defeating this Carl is just, it's going to be super easy for us. And as you can see, just absolutely demolishing him. Anyway, let's head into the next replay. Alright, heading into the next replay. Now let's just talk about matchups real quick. The matchups that Brock tends to struggle against. Brock can struggle against fast-moving brawlers, so Max and BB can give Brock a pretty difficult time, just because it can be very difficult to hit those kind of brawlers. Tanks are pretty good for Brock as long as you keep your range. And yeah, I mean, pretty much if you can keep your range, Brock can pretty much, you know, battle any brawler in the game. It's just those fast moving brawlers, those Maxes, those Mortises, those Leons, those Crows that can give Brock a hard time, just because it's difficult to hit your shots. But if you can hit your shots, you can win pretty much any matchup in the game, provided that you're at a long range. Now when it comes to close range, it becomes a lot more tricky. So I would, you know, obviously you want to avoid close range combat, but if they're a weak brawler like Anita or whatever, a brawler does not do a lot of damage, then you can go after them. You just gotta be mindful of, you know, the brawler that you're going after. If they don't do a lot of damage, then you can go after them in the close range. But yeah, like I said, you know, brawlers like Pam or 8-bit, you know, especially since Pam has a bigger hitbox, or 8-bit is slow, Brock can do really good against. Brock also does very good against B, since he has a longer range in B. And so, you know, Brock is kind of the counter pick, you know, the counter meta pick, if you want to call it that. He's very good against a lot of the top brawlers in Solo Showdown, which is kind of why you can actually push him, is because he's pretty good against them. Even though 8-bit got a nerf, he's still pretty good against Pam and B. And as you can see, you know, just bursting down that need, and that's why Brock is one of the better long-range brawlers, just because he has that burst damage that, you know, brawlers like Piper, for example, don't have. And now we're just being completely dominant here, you know, getting energy drink and just, you know, getting kills, getting our power cubes, you know, the usual business. All right, and we're, you know, attacking this Barley over here, and you know, just making sure, keeping these brawlers back, and yeah. Alright, so eventually this Barley tries to make its way in, and we finish him off, and then, you know, Crow gets energy drink, but, you know, for us, we just hide right by the corner so that the Crow can't get us, and we just wait for the poison to take him out, and we get this nice and easy dub. Let's head into the next replay. Alright, heading into the next replay here, spawning in the bottom of the map. Now, as far as going mid, in the mid there tends to be a lot of power cubes. You can definitely go mid. There's definitely been games where, you know, I've gone mid, and using incendiary you can get a lot of power cubes. You just got to be careful when you go mid, as if someone else comes there, most of the time you're not going to be able to 1v1 them if someone else contests you for that box. So make sure if you're going to go mid, make sure you go in, you get your power cubes, you head out, and if someone comes in there, depend on the brawl, of course, most of the time you're going to want to head out, most of the time. So it's definitely pretty risky, but I have done it, and if you can do it well, you know, I also have died trying to do that, but if you can pull it off, you can get a pretty hefty power cube advantage. So you know, definitely something worth considering. Right now we're just keeping our range and shooting at this Terra, and I mean, you can kind of see, like, a lot of Brock is the actual skill based of it, hitting your shots, right? And, you know, honestly, if you can't hit your shots with Brock, if you're not good with Brock, don't even try, because you're just going to get, you know, completely bulldozed by Maxes, by Leons, by Crows. Any aggro brawler is just going to have their way with you if you can't hit your shots, and that's just a sad truth. So make sure you practice up, because a lot of times, you know, if you can hit your shots, you know, so you can surprisingly win a lot of matchups. You can, like, two or three tap a lot of brawlers, if you can hit your shots. And yeah, so that's probably the most important thing, to just to be honest. Taking out this Leon over here, 5 people left, waiting to heal up. And right now we're just checking bushes, just seeing if, who's nearby. Alright, so this Darrow comes, and as you can see, hitting your shots on him. And even at that range, I'm pretty sure we're manually aiming there, right? Just to give you an idea. So now it's just us versus the Carl. Against the Carl, you definitely want to get into close range against the Carl. Okay, at close range, you're able to burst him down, as you can see we do here. We jump to avoid a shot, and now we're in the close range. We're able to take out the Carl here to get the dub. Let's head into the next replay. Alright, heading into the final replay here. This is actually the game that got me to 1,000 trophies, and I also recorded this live as well, so you can kind of see how I'm aiming and whatnot. So, I mean, hopefully it can help you with how to aim with Brock. The speed just being annoying. Yeah. As you can see, we actually went mid this game. That's because there was no other boxes for me to get, and so I'm like, might as well. And luckily for us, no one else came to contest. So yeah, and as you can see, we're doing a good job keeping that B back, and you can kind of see why Brock versus B is a pretty good matchup. Just because Brock has the range advantage, and so as long as you keep that range advantage, as you see I'm doing here, as I'm shooting and I'm going back just to make sure that the B doesn't get a shot on me. That's what I mean when I say range advantage. Also, I didn't really mention this, but Brock is also a really good peek shooter, so in the case of a pinch, if someone's, you know, rushing you, you can always circle around one of these walls or whatever, and you know, use that as well to finish off an enemy. Let's say a Leon is coming after you, right? Leon, since you do a single projectile shot, you can just walk around, right, and just keep shooting at the Leon, and the Leon's not going to be able to do a full clip on you because you're going around the wall, and that can be a great way to deal with threats like that. Hopefully you don't get in that situation, but if you do, that's how you can deal with that. Getting some shots off on the B, and when you get an energy drink, it's wise to just save it You know, you don't really want to just, you know, hop on it immediately. You want to wait for a good opportunity to actually get kills with it. So if there's a bush nearby, hide. If not, just chill around it until either the poison comes to get it or you see someone coming nearby, and that way you can go ahead and snag that energy drink and then go and take out excuse me, go and take out whoever came nearby you. As you can see, pinching this bee over there with the other bee, and then that bee gets taken out by my Terra teammate, and then able to quickly two-shot the Terra for the dub there, and that is going to do it for the rank 30 there. And that is all the replays that I have for you guys. So yeah, I mean, you know, make sure you if you're gonna push Brock, make sure you practice up on your shots. You know, make sure you keep your range, make sure, you know, you get boxed at the beginning, and then make sure you go to that area. If you ever get into a tight situation, use your gadget. You can also use your gadget in close range combat, you know, to stun the brawler and, you know, deal 500 damage. You can win a lot of close range combat like that. You can even fight a Leon, right? 3 shots, and then gadget, you can actually kill a Leon with that. So gadget is definitely very, very useful. But yeah, I mean, you keep all that in mind, you know, team with who you can, and you should be having a pretty good time. And you know, like I said, you know, matches to avoid. The quick moving brawlers can be hard, you know. Max is probably going to be the most difficult for you to deal with, because the other ones, the other ones, I don't know, in my personal experience, like, they can be hard to hit, but they're not that bad. But Max is probably the most roughest matchup. But yeah, I mean, you follow my tips, you should be doing pretty good, you know. Like I said, you know, Brock, you wouldn't normally think of Brock as a really good solo showdown brawler, but when you actually look at it, Brock is a pretty good counter to a lot of the meta picks, such as, you know, Bee and Pam and whatnot. So, but anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and peace.